Hello, NetJets team. This is Matt Bergen. One of the requests you had from us was an overview of our time and attendance solution. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, so I wanted to provide a quick overview through a video of what the solution looks like. Now, our official proposal is Workforce Software, and for your needs and your requirements, it truly is the best solution to meet what you're looking for. But we did want to give you an overview of what the native time and attendance looks like in our application. I'm going to show you first kind of the experience from the mobile device. The same experience, of course, exists on the desktop, and we'll walk through that as well, but I wanted to give you an idea of what it looks like. I'm currently logged in to my mobile device as Jeff Hill, and I'm looking at the approval requests that he has on his to-do list. You'll notice that one of those requests is a vacation request from Jada Baker. When Jeff clicks into the request, he can see all of the details associated with it, what the start and end date are, what the time type is, how many days have requested. He can also see things like team absences. So in this case, Jade is requesting time off, and there's somebody else on the team that's also absent during that same period of time. In fact, it happens to be me. So Jade is requesting the same time off that I am. I may still approve the request, but at least gives me insight to let me know what's going on with the rest of my team when I'm going through these requests. From here, I can approve the request, I can decline the request, or I can delegate the request to somebody else. Now, Jada taking time off reminds me that I want to take time off, so I just want to show quickly what that experience looks like for an employee requesting time off on their mobile device. So it'll list any of my upcoming time off. Thanksgiving holiday, based on my holiday calendar, is a day that I have off already. And I can see all of my time off buckets or time off allocations, things like vacation, sick time, PTO, and any other time types that you've set up in the system. I can look at things like my personal absence calendar, my holiday calendar, and also my team absence calendar, so I can see upcoming and pending requests directly from here. When I'm ready to request time off, all I need to do is select my time type, select my start date, and my end date. Maybe I'll take the first 2 days before Thanksgiving off. I'm sure I could use it. And directly from my mobile device, if I need to, I can add documentation. I can add comments if I want to, and I can submit the request for approval. Now, one of the cool things about the time off request is when I submit a time off request, the system will actually not only route it through whatever workflow process is required, but it'll allow me to do some other things directly from here. Things like block my Outlook calendar for that time off, delete any appointments that I have, as well as notify people that I'm going to be out or update my Jam. And Jam is our social collaboration tool, so I can update my status in that social collaboration tool to let people know that I'm going to be away for a period of time. So that's my experience on time off, both approving time and scheduling time off, scheduling time off directly from here. I can also access my personal timesheet from my mobile device. So as a hourly worker, as a salaried employee, the time system is set up to automatically put in time for me. As long as I don't make any changes or don't need to put any exceptions in, the system will automatically record my time and record that I have 8 hours per day. From here, as Jeff Hill, I can do a new recording. So maybe today, while I spent 8 hours working, I actually did some business travel as well. So we'll do business travel, and we'll say, you know what, maybe I traveled 2 hours and 30 minutes for business. I had to fly. And the system will actually automatically allow me to update my time directly from my mobile device. So now you can see I've got planned time for 8 hours, and then because of my business travel, I've added an additional 2 hours, giving me a total of 10 hours and 30 minutes. From here, I can also reapply plan time. So my plan time was, of course, 8 hours. I can reapply that to the system, and then I can preview or overall preview my entire timesheet if I want to, prior to submitting that timesheet and sending it for any additional approvals that I need. So that's the kind of the experience on my mobile device. I'm going to log into the desktop and show you some of the experience or what the application looks like from the desktop. Okay, so we want to take a few minutes and look at the experience of time off and timesheets from the desktop, kind of like we saw on the mobile device. I'm currently logged into the solution. I'm actually logged in as Jeff Hill, but in the essence of time, I'm just going to proxy in as different characters to show the experience for different characters. So right now I'm proxied in as Faith Marshall, so I'm seeing it as exactly as Faith would see it. And let's go ahead and request time off first. So we'll go to update time off. This takes me to the time off screen. So we saw what it looked like on the mobile device. This is the experience from the desktop. Again, like I saw, I can see all of my vacation buckets, all of my time buckets, my vacation, my sickness, any other that have been assigned to me, jury, PTO, for example. When I'm requesting days off, all I do is select the time bucket and I can select the days that I want off. Some other functionality I have on the desktop is I can see my balances as of today. I can also push forward in time. If I want to see what my balances look like maybe in December, or excuse me, in the summer as I'm planning for my big family vacations, I can see how my time will accrue and these sick balances will change and adjust accordingly. So when I take time off though, we'll go to vacation, we'll take a couple of days off in December. Again, we can see time type, we can see start date, end date. I'm requesting 2 days. The system does have the capability to request partial days, or if you have employees that are requesting hourly, they can request hourly as well. I have the opportunity to upload documentation with my request, just like I saw on the mobile device. And I can put any comments in. And then submit it just as I did on my mobile device. Now, one thing I point out before I leave here is, like we saw on Jeff, this will show me team absences. So before I request time off, I'll be able to see if anybody else on the team is off during that time and take time off from that point. So we'll go ahead and submit this request and we'll get a notification that it's going to go to Jeff for approval. All right. Oh, excuse me. It's going to Stephanie Thorne for approval, not to Jeff. She doesn't report to Jeff. All right. So the next thing we're going to look at is the employment information, or what we see from a candidate experience. So if we go into, let's go into Faith Marshall's, let's go ahead and go directly into her employee file. So we've looked at how we request time off. I just want to look quickly at the information that she sees from a time off perspective directly from her employee profile. So under her personal information, we've got a section for time off. From here, she can access the time off sheet that we just had. I can see my time off balances as of today. I can see time that I've recorded for this week. I can also go directly to the timesheet from here. Now, although I went to the profile to access this, I also can go to the timesheet. I can set up a tile on my home page that takes me directly into the timesheet. Now, Faith Marshall specifically is an overtime only reporter. So as long as she works her schedule, the system will automatically clock her for 8 hours per day. The only time she needs to report time is if she has overtime. So if she's done additional work, stayed overtime. And there's a couple of different ways that she can report her time in the system. One way is just to click on this bar graph and it'll actually put in and calculate the time. As this goes in, as the time goes in, the system will automatically calculate any overtime, extra time reported, so you can see that over here on this side. I also can put in time just by putting in time in the time clock. 2.0, and again, overtime is calculated. Now, we can have pretty robust rules as far as how we calculate overtime. So if I go from 2 hours to 3 hours, it'll recalculate, and you'll notice the overtime calculation changes. For the first 2 hours, overtime calculation is at time and a half. After 2 hours, it goes up to double time, and the system will automatically calculate that and let the employee see real time what's happening. We also have additional rules here. So if I go 1 hour, I'm now at 5 hours of overtime. I've got 6 total hours of overtime. If I change this to 3, again, I'll see now I have 2 times double overtime. We can also do different rates for weekends and evenings. That's the experience for an employee coming in and putting time. I can also record time or different time types directly from down here. So instead of overtime, if I wanted to record time to business travel, again, maybe I was on a flight going to a demo or something, I can add that in and it's calculated in my total timesheet. So let's go ahead and look at another time reporter. We'll look at Romeo Dijon. So we're going to go ahead and proxy as Romeo. And we'll look at how Romeo records time, because his time is a little bit different, and how he records time is slightly different. We'll go ahead and leave. And for him, we'll just do timesheet. And this will take him directly into his timesheet. Again, we don't have to go to the profile. We can just type in an action search, or you could have a tile on the home page. Now, as you can see, Romeo has a standard schedule, 8 hours a day, and the schedule actually populates that 8 hours. We can see it across the board. So he has additional ways that he can enter time. If he clicks on 8 hours, the system will automatically record 8 hours. Like we saw before, I can type in 10 hours in the update. Or I can click on the graph just like I did previously and it'll record time that way. You'll notice that the overtime premium calculations for Romeo, because of his time type, are a little bit different. He's getting paid an overtime premium of 50%. He may also get premiums if, for example, he works on a Sunday. He'll get a different premium. In this case, you have an overtime premium on Sunday of 75%. All these things are updating real time as he's building his time card. We also have additional details in here, so he has the ability, if you want to add things like on-call time, or if he's doing any type of hazard pay for the conditions he's working in, he can add those here. And of course, he can save it as a draft, and when he's done, he can submit it. The time process uses the same rules engine and the same workflow as everything that we utilize in Employee Central. It's built on the exact same framework, so all of those rules and workflows that we saw previously can apply to time types as well. All right, let's jump in and we'll look at an hourly employee. So Carl Dixon. So this is our hourly time reporter. This is somebody that reports a clock time in, a clock time out, just so you can see kind of what it looks like when we're doing the reporting. Now, with your clock time reporters, we do have the ability to take in a feed from a time clock. So you could have a time clock, or if you have a keypad that you log into. Timesheet, let me jump into his timesheet. The only catch with that is we actually don't take start time, stop time, we just take duration. So if you're using a time clock, it would need to calculate the duration and send that directly to our system. So with Jeff, based on his schedule, you can see that he's scheduled to work from 8 till 5. And with the scheduling tool, we can actually build in specific breaks or parameters. So in this case, based on the setup that we've done in the rules in the system, he is automatically allocated separate breaks. So he has a break from 10 to 10:15, and then of course he has his lunch break for 45 minutes. As we saw previously with our with Romeo, I can just click on the time and it's going to automatically dump my time into the application. So I've got my start time, end time on standard. I've got scheduled breaks that I have. If I want to, I can add additional time down here. I, of course, can adjust these fields as well. If maybe I didn't actually come in at 8 today, but I started at 8:30, it changes my time. Maybe I ended at 5:30, so I stayed a little longer, so I can keep my time the same. So again, just another way to be able to record time as a clock time reporter. I still have the ability to add additional components here, maybe overtime, additional break. All of these are configurable based on your rules. So maybe I took a break from 15 to 15:30. And that will adjust my time based on that break time I put in. So that's my experience for a clock time reporter. The last thing I want to do is I just want to log in as the or proxy in, I guess, as the admin, because the admin has some additional capabilities, and we'll go back to Faith Marshall, who was our original person we looked at from a time perspective. And what I want to look at is, as an administrator, what kind of access do I have? What things do I see? How do I manage and adjust and monitor time? And where do all those pieces fit into the employee profile? So I'm going to actually go to Faith Marshall's record, her employee profile, and that's kind of where all the time information is going to be housed. So under her personal information, we saw this for her when we were logged in as Marshall, but I have her timesheet, I have upcoming time off. What I have that's new is I do have the ability to administer time, and we'll come back to that in just 1 second. Before we do that, I want to go into her employment information because this is where we build all of the content that drives what type of calendar she has, what type of time she has, what schedule she's assigned to. So under job information, there's a subsection called time information. It's these fields that allow us to define what her time profile is. So we can define her holiday calendar, and as an administrator, you can set up as many calendars as you want. So she's based on a USA holiday calendar, so those times off and those days off based on both her schedule and when she's requesting time off are based on that. We can have her work schedule. So we can set up multiple work schedules in the application. She's on a normal work schedule, and if I want to, I can click into the details and see exactly what a normal work schedule looks like. So obviously 8-hour day every day if I want to see the details associated with that. The work schedule has planned hours for 8 to 8. Averaged hours per day are 8, average hours per week, average days, and it gives me the total for the entire year. Kind of like the calendars, you can set up as many schedules as you want in the application. The time profile gives me details on what time profile she's reporting to or what type of reporter she is. If you remember, she was an overtime only reporter, so she only had the 2-hour block. She only recorded overtime. Time profile might be your hourly reporter or your exemption only reporter. So we've got duration for overtime for her time recording profile. Time recording admissibility just tells me how far in the past she can make corrections to her record. So she can go 4 weeks in the past. Time recording variant is duration, and that means we record a duration of time. And the last piece here is default overtime component. So if she has overtime, you have the ability to do time in lieu of. So as opposed to paying overtime rates, the system is actually set up to allow you to give you additional time or credit or overtime in lieu of paying overtime. So if I work 45 hours, I can get additional time off going forward. Well, we don't use that a lot in the US. As you look throughout the rest of the world, that's actually a pretty popular benefit. So we'll jump up and just kind of look at some of the last things, and that's administering time. So this is specific to the time components that exist for Faith Marshall's record. So a couple of things that we have here. First of all, her time record. These are all of the accruals that she has coming in, or excuse me, these are the requests that she has off. Here's the most recent request that we submitted for December 6th and 7th. It was requested today and it's currently in a pending status. I can view that if I want to. I also have the ability as an administrator to add a new absence directly from here. So if the employee is out of the office or calls in and says, hey, I'm off today, I don't have access to the system, as an administrator or manager, I could go in and add that absence on their behalf. My time accounts, when I look at the time off I have, my sickness, my vacation, these are all the details associated with those different time accounts. So you can see my vacation for 2017. Here's all of the things that have come in. I've got manual adjustments. Obviously, these can automatically accrue. We also have future postings coming up. So we have things coming up that will be posted to her time account. And kind of like we saw for the employee, I can also change the time account. I'm looking at it as of today. I can look at it at some point in the future. And then her work schedule. We already looked at her work schedule from details, but here's where I can see additional information. I also have the ability here within the work schedule to make a temporary change. So if Faith comes to me maybe for a period of a month or so, she needs her schedule changed, I can come in here and I can change her to a different schedule. Right now she's on the normal schedule. Maybe I'm going to change her to a 2 weeks rotating 8-shift early shift because she needs a different schedule. I can also manually create a schedule directly from here. So if I don't want to use a pre-built schedule that I have, I can build a manual schedule and have that schedule dedicated for just a short period of time. And the last thing here are just time alerts. If I have any alerts associated with her time, taking time off, those can be built in the application as well. All right. So again, we just want to provide a high-level overview based on your request of what we have in the application with regards to time off and requesting time off. Obviously, this was a very, very quick demo and overview of our time recruiting solution, or our time and attendance solution, excuse me, not time recruiting, but time and attendance solution. We'd love to go deeper into this. If you feel like you need more information or would like to find out more about what the solution can support and what it can't, we'd be happy to sit down with you and walk through whatever level of detail that you need. Thank you again for your time, and any questions, reach out to myself or your AE.